Imagine a player so electric, they could shake up an entire league's finances. That's exactly what's happening with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Clark isn't just breaking records, she's breaking the bank. But here's the kicker, she's just getting started in her pro career. So how is this possible? Buckle up because we're about to dive into the Caitlin Clark effect and what it means for the WNBA's bottom line. Let's rewind a bit. Who is Caitlin Clark and why is everyone talking about her? Clark burst onto the college basketball scene like a comet, lighting up scoreboards for the University of Iowa. She wasn't just good, she rewrote the record books, becoming one of the most prolific scorers in NCAA history. Her ability to dominate games with her long-range shooting, court vision, and leadership turned her into a household name even before she stepped onto a WNBA court. Clark's game is a mix of deep three-pointers, flashy assists, and clutch performances that keep fans on the edge of their seats. She's got that rare ability to make jaws drop every time she steps on the court. It's not just about her statistics, it's about the energy she brings to the game, something that resonates with fans far beyond her numbers, and people are noticing. Big time. Now let's talk numbers. WNBA viewership has been on a steady climb, but Clark's impact is like pouring gas on a fire. The 2023 NCAA Women's Basketball Championship game, featuring Clark, drew a staggering 9.9 million viewers, shattering previous records for women's basketball and even surpassing some NBA playoff games. This excitement has translated into her professional career, where she continues to draw significant attention to the WNBA. Since her debut, Clark has been nothing short of a sensation. The anticipation leading up to her first game was palpable, and it paid off in spades. Her debut game attracted a surge in viewership, with fans tuning in from across the country to see what the hype was all about. And Clark delivered, showcasing the same flair and skill that made her a star in college. But how exactly is Clark impacting WNBA revenue as a rookie? It's all about her marketability and the buzz that has surrounded her transition to the pros. The moment Clark was drafted, ticket sales across the league saw a notable increase. For example, the Indiana Fever, who selected Clark with the first overall pick, have seen a dramatic spike in ticket sales. A team that previously struggled to fill seats is now experiencing sold-out games and a waiting list for season tickets. This phenomenon, known as the Clark effect, has turned the Fever into one of the hottest tickets in town. However, the Clark effect isn't limited to ticket sales. Merchandise featuring her name and number has been flying off the shelves. Clark's college jersey was a top seller, and her WNBA jersey has followed suit, quickly becoming one of the most popular items in the league's store. It's not often that a rookie has this kind of pull, driving merchandise sales to this extent. Fans are eager to show their support for Clark, not just in her home market, but across the country. Now let's dive deeper into the broader financial implications. The WNBA's current broadcast agreement is nearing its expiration, and Clark's arrival could not have come at a better time. Networks are already eyeing the potential ratings boost that Clark can provide. Her ability to draw viewers is expected to create a bidding war for the next broadcast deal, potentially leading to a substantial increase in revenue for the league. This isn't just a small bump, it's a potential game changer that could secure the WNBA's financial future for years to come. But it's not just about television deals and ticket sales. Clark's presence is elevating the entire league's profile. More eyes on Clark mean more eyes on her teammates and opponents, increasing visibility across the board. This heightened visibility is likely to lead to more sponsorship deals, not just for Clark, but for the league as a whole. Brands that may have previously overlooked the WNBA are now eager to be associated with its rising star, bringing in additional revenue streams that are crucial for the league's growth. Let's put this in perspective. The WNBA has been growing steadily over the years, but Clark represents a potential quantum leap. We're talking about the possibility of drawing in new fans who may have never watched women's basketball before, increasing media coverage that reaches beyond traditional sports outlets, and attracting more corporate interest that can drive the league's financial growth. All of this translates to dollars and cents for a league that has long fought for greater recognition and financial stability. However, with great potential comes great responsibility. There's always a risk in putting too much pressure on one player. especially a rookie. The competition in the WNBA is fierce, and the transition from college to the pros is a significant leap. While Clark has shown she can handle the spotlight, the expectations placed on her are enormous. It's essential that the league and her team manage these expectations carefully to ensure she can continue to thrive. Many experts, though, believe Clark's game is tailor-made for the WNBA. Her deep shooting range, combined with her ability to make plays for her teammates, fits perfectly with the modern style of play in the league. Plus, she's already proven she can perform under pressure, which bodes well for her continued success as a professional. Her leadership qualities and competitive spirit are additional attributes that suggest she's more than capable of meeting the challenges ahead. But let's address a crucial point: the potential overshadowing of other great players in the league. The WNBA is full of incredible talent, and it's vital that Clark's rise to stardom doesn't come at the expense of others. Instead, her presence should serve to elevate the entire league. The WNBA has a unique opportunity to leverage Clark's popularity to showcase the depth of talent across its teams. It's not about Clark versus the WNBA. It's about Clark and the WNBA taking women's basketball to new heights together. This brings us to the broader implications for the future of the WNBA. The increased revenue generated by Clark's presence could have a ripple effect across the league. We could see higher salaries for players, better facilities, and more resources for player development. This in turn could attract even more top talent to the league, creating a virtuous cycle of growth that benefits everyone involved. But beyond the financials, Clark's impact could fundamentally change how women's basketball is perceived. More young girls might be inspired to pick up a basketball, seeing in Clark a role model who proves that women's sports are not just about participation, but about excellence. More fans might tune into WNBA games, not just to see Clark, but to discover the league's rich tapestry of talent. And more sponsors might see the value in supporting women's sports, recognizing that there's a significant audience eager to engage with these athletes. As we wrap up, it's clear that Caitlin Clark's impact on WNBA revenue is more than just buzz. It's a potential game changer that could reshape the league's financial landscape for years to come. But here's the million-dollar question. Is this the beginning of a new era for the WNBA, or will the Clark effect fade once the novelty wears off? The answer might surprise you, and it could redefine the future of professional sports as we know it. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.
No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Cheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark?
Certainly. Here's the revised content, enriched with SEO keywords to optimize it for search engines. Records shattered, arenas packed, and a WNBA rookie taking the league by storm. Caitlin Clark's arrival has ignited a wildfire in women's basketball, but not everyone's celebrating. Is Caitlin Clark revolutionizing the WNBA? Or is the hype surrounding her causing a rift among the league's legends? Get ready, because this story has more twists and turns than a Caitlin Clark no-look pass. The WNBA has seen its share of stars, but none quite like Caitlin Clark. Fresh out of college, Caitlin Clark isn't just playing the game, she's changing it. But with great success comes great controversy, especially in the world of women's basketball. Let's break it down. Caitlin Clark is leading the entire WNBA in assists. As a rookie, she's averaging 26 points and 9.2 assists per game. These aren't just impressive numbers. They're the kind of stats that make you question what's possible in the game of basketball. The Indiana Fever, once the league's underdogs, are now in playoff contention. This is a team that finished last season with a dismal .531 record. Now, they're fighting for a playoff spot, like watching a caterpillar turn into a butterfly. Except this butterfly can drain three-pointers from half court. Arenas are selling out, TV ratings are skyrocketing, and it's all because of Caitlin Clark. Fans are flocking to see her play, many of them new to the WNBA. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's become a cultural phenomenon, drawing attention to women's sports like never before. But not everyone's joining the Caitlin Clark fan club. Enter Cheryl Swoops, WNBA legend and women's basketball icon. On our recent podcast, Swoopus discussed the Fever's impressive season. She praised Lexi Hall, mentioned Kelsey Mitchell, and gave a shout-out to Aaliyah Boston. But Caitlin Clark? Not a word. It's like trying to describe the solar system without mentioning the sun.
Shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan.
Absolutely.
Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle and just couldn't miss. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She is just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double.
You might think maybe it was just an oversight. But in the world of professional sports, silence can be louder than words. By not mentioning Caitlin Clark, Sheryl Swoopes put an even bigger spotlight on her. It's the elephant in the room that keeps getting bigger. Enter Stephen A. Smith, known for his bold takes and unfiltered commentary. Smith was quick to defend Caitlin Clark, calling out Swoopes for her omission.
Swoopes. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark?
He argued that by failing to acknowledge Clark, Swoopes not only undermines her contributions, but also perpetuates a negative narrative against her.
You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
Stephen A. Smith emphasized Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball, particularly in increasing WNBA viewership and fan engagement since her arrival in the league.
And the game afterwards got 485,000 people. So the Fever in their game against the Minnesota Lynx was 1.219 million. On Ion! On Ion!
The omission by Sheryl Swoopes didn't go unnoticed by fans. It sparked significant backlash, with some even creating merchandise with slogans like, "Don't be a Sheryl," to express their support for Caitlin Clark. Despite the criticism, Swoopes has remained steadfast in her views, focusing on praising other players while seemingly sidelining Clark.
Before I get into that, I am going to say this. Shout out to Angel Reese, even in a loss. Listen, 20 boards.
It's crazy.
20 boards. Say what you want to say about how she's getting all these rebounds. You can get 20 rebounds. I don't care if you're rebounding your own.
This has led to debates about whether her stance is rooted in a genuine assessment of player performance, or if it reflects deeper biases in the world of women's basketball. While Swoopes remains silent on Caitlin Clark, other WNBA legends aren't holding back their praise. Sue Bird, for instance, sees Caitlin Clark as a game changer. Bird's comments go beyond mere compliments. They recognize how Caitlin Clark is redefining the game.
She's no longer getting picked up full court in the ways that we teased Ari McDonald for when she did it after a free throw and she still had another free throw. But what you're seeing is Caitlin now is able to push the ball up the floor. She's able to hit those get-ahead passes.
Yeah.
And so I won't be surprised if as the season gets later into playoff runs, if you start to see teams do more, and you're definitely going to see it in the playoff.
Bird even compares Caitlin Clark's offensive capabilities to those of NBA star Kevin Durant, emphasizing that Clark's deep shooting and court vision put relentless pressure on defenses.
That's why you had to pick Caitlin up full court.
Yeah.
This is why.
This is why.
The numbers she's putting up now, this
Y'all
is
stopped,
why.
and now she broke the record.
Yeah, everyone was
First
mad
season
about it.
for
I was
rookie.
I don't get it. That would be I don't even know what it would be like.
Yeah.
It'd be like letting Kevin Durant shoot pull-ups all day. It's no.
Sue Bird believes that Caitlin Clark will not only continue to break records, but will also change perceptions of women's basketball, particularly in the context of negative stereotypes about the sport. So what's behind this stark contrast between Sheryl Swoopes and Sue Bird? Is it just a difference of opinion, or is there something deeper at play? Some argue it's a clash between the old guard and the new generation in women's basketball. Others say it's about preserving the legacy of past players. But here's the thing, the WNBA isn't just about the past, it's about the future of women's basketball. Remember when we thought the Rookie of the Year race would be a tight battle between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Well, that race might be over before it really began. Don't get me wrong, Angel Reese is a phenomenal player. She's putting up impressive numbers, especially on the offensive boards. But while Caitlin Clark's elevating her entire team, Angel Reese's Chicago Sky are struggling to stay in playoff contention. It's not just about individual brilliance, it's about impact. And right now, Caitlin Clark's impact is off the charts. She's not just playing well, she's changing the way WNBA teams have to approach the game. Defenses are scrambling to find ways to contain her, often leaving her teammates open for easy buckets. But let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just about one player or one season. We're watching the entire landscape of the WNBA shift. Caitlin Clark's popularity is bringing new fans to the game. These aren't just casual viewers. They're becoming invested in the stories, the teams, and the players of the WNBA. Think about what this could mean for the WNBA. More fans mean more revenue. More revenue could lead to better salaries for WNBA players, improved facilities, and more resources for marketing and development. We're talking about a potential golden age for women's basketball. The implications are huge. Better salaries could mean more top athletes choosing basketball over other sports. Improved facilities could lead to better training and development programs. And more marketing resources? That could help the WNBA finally get the mainstream recognition it deserves. But it's not all smooth sailing. The attention Caitlin Clark is receiving has sparked important conversations about equity in the WNBA. How do we ensure that all WNBA stars, not just the most hyped rookies, get the recognition they deserve? It's a balancing act the WNBA needs to master. There's a risk here. If the WNBA puts all its eggs in the Caitlin Clark basket, what happens to the other talented players who've been grinding for years? How do we celebrate new talent without disrespecting the WNBA veterans who built this league? And let's not forget about the upcoming showdown that's got everyone buzzing. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. It's not just another game. It's Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, the Cinderella story versus the struggling powerhouse. It's shaping up to be one of the most anticipated games in recent WNBA history. This game is more than just a regular season matchup. It's a showcase of the WNBA's future. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese represent two different styles of play, two different paths to the pros. Their matchup is a microcosm of the larger changes happening in women's basketball. But here's the million-dollar question. Is all this attention good for the WNBA? On one hand, we've got sold-out arenas, skyrocketing TV ratings, and a buzz around women's basketball we haven't seen in years. The WNBA is getting mainstream coverage, not just in sports media, but in general news outlets too. On the other hand, we've got tension between WNBA veterans and rookies, questions about fair promotion, and concerns about overshadowing other talented players. There's a risk of the WNBA becoming too focused on individual stars rather than team play. The WNBA is at a crossroads. The decisions made now, how to market the league, how to support all players, how to capitalize on this new attention, will shape the future of women's basketball for years to come. Do they lean into the star power of players like Caitlin Clark, using her popularity to boost the WNBA's profile? Or do they try to spread the attention around, ensuring that all WNBA players get their moment in the spotlight? And what about the style of play? Caitlin Clark's long-range shooting and flashy passes are exciting, but they're a departure from the more traditional, physical style that's defined the WNBA for years. Does the league embrace this new style or try to maintain a balance? One thing's for sure, the impact of Caitlin Clark goes far beyond the court. She's inspiring a new generation of players. Young girls watching Caitlin Clark dominate are seeing what's possible in women's basketball. This could lead to a whole new wave of talent in the coming years, further elevating the level of play in the WNBA. But with great power comes great responsibility. Caitlin Clark isn't just carrying the hopes of her team, she's carrying the hopes of an entire league. That's a lot of pressure for a rookie, no matter how talented. As we head into the final stretch of the season, all eyes will be on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Can they complete their Cinderella story and make the playoffs? Will Caitlin Clark continue to rewrite the record books? And how will the rest of the WNBA respond to this new phenomenon? Love her or hate her, you can't ignore her. Caitlin Clark isn't just the story of this WNBA season. She might be the future of the league. But is the WNBA ready for this seismic shift? As the playoffs loom and tensions rise, one thing's for sure: women's basketball will never be the same. The game is changing, folks. The only question is, are you ready for what comes next? Recent discussions around Caitlin Clark have added fuel to this fiery debate, particularly involving WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes and ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith. Here's what you need to know. In a recent analysis, Sheryl Swoopes praised several Indiana Fever players for their contributions to the team's success, but notably omitted any mention of Caitlin Clark, the rookie guard who has been a significant factor in the Fever's rise in the standings. This omission has led to accusations of bias against Caitlin Clark, with critics suggesting that Swoopes harbors a grudge against her. Stephen A. Smith has been vocal in defending Caitlin Clark, calling out Swoopes for her lack of acknowledgement. He argued that failing to mention Caitlin Clark, who leads the WNBA in assists, undermines her contributions and perpetuates a narrative of negativity towards her. Stephen A. Smith emphasized Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball, particularly in terms of increasing WNBA viewership and fan engagement since her arrival in the league. The omission by Sheryl Swoopes has sparked significant backlash from WNBA fans, many of whom feel that she is unjustly critical of Caitlin Clark. Some fans have even created merchandise with slogans like "Don't be a Sheryl" to express their support for Caitlin Clark against Swoopes' criticisms. Despite the criticism, Sheryl Swoopes has remained steadfast in her views, focusing on praising other WNBA players while seemingly sidelining Caitlin Clark. This has led to debates about whether her stance is rooted in a genuine assessment of player performance or if it reflects deeper biases in women's basketball. Sue Bird has expressed strong admiration for Caitlin Clark, highlighting her exceptional skills and impact on the WNBA. Bird considers Caitlin Clark a significant threat in the upcoming WNBA playoffs, stating that if she were still playing, the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark would be the last team she would want to face.
And by the way, I never thought Caitlin wasn't strong. That was actually something I noticed in college. Like, she had a strength about her. Will she get stronger and will that help her? Yeah. I think it was more just getting used to the hits and the physicality and like what refs are going to call, what they're not going to call. And you've seen her adjust in that way too. Like, she's definitely getting used to it, which is, trouble for everybody else. That's why I don't want to see her.
Sue Bird emphasized that Caitlin Clark's pace of play is a crucial factor, noting that it can outmatch physicality and experience, which are often seen as advantages in the league. Sue Bird compared Caitlin Clark's offensive capabilities to those of NBA star Kevin Durant, stating that teams need to pick her up full court to prevent her from getting into a rhythm. Bird remarked,
I don't even know what it would be like. It'd be like letting Kevin Durant shoot pull-ups all day. It's like, no.
underscoring the pressure Caitlin Clark puts on defenses with her deep shooting range and playmaking skills. Sue Bird also highlighted how Caitlin Clark's long-distance shooting is helping to change negative stereotypes about women's basketball. Bird noted that Caitlin Clark's ability to hit deep threes provides an exciting alternative to traditional views that criticize the women's game for lacking high-scoring plays like dunks. Bird predicted that Caitlin Clark will continue to break records in the coming years, as she is already making a significant impact in her rookie season. Bird stated,
Caitlin continuing to impress and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record break.
Indicating her belief in Caitlin Clark's potential to reshape the landscape of women's basketball. Despite the criticism from Sheryl Swoopes, Caitlin Clark has chosen to focus on her game and her impact on the court. Caitlin Clark continues to lead the Indiana Fever with record-breaking performances, all while maintaining respect for the WNBA legends who came before her. Caitlin Clark's commitment to her craft and her ability to rise above negativity have only added to her growing legacy,